It's time for Come and Talk It with your host, Michael Cargill, brought to you by Texas Law Shield. Over the last decade, Michael has championed and supported the rights of law-abiding Texans to own and use firearms. He is the owner of Central Texas Gun Works, a veteran of the United States Army, and has achieved national exposure in such prestigious media outlets such as Forbes Magazine, Fox Business News, CNN Money, AOL, BBC World News, Huffington Post, and the New York Times. Cargill vigorously defends lawful gun ownership in this country without regard to party politics. And now, here's Michael Cargill.
Good day, Austin, Texas, the live music capital of the world. Let's praise the Lord and pass the ammunition. So today, we're going to talk about a couple of different shootings. I hear there's one in California. Going to talk about that. Someone just brought that to my attention. Also want to talk about the APD, the Austin Police Department's officer-involved shooting of a business owner. Going to talk about that, kind of break that down a little bit. This is a strange one. This is a really weird case, weird situation. So first, I want to start off by looking at the video of the ring camera. Take a look at that, and I'll kind of talk you through it just a little bit. We're going to roll that. All right, so a business owner is actually at his home, and he suspects that someone is actually inside his home. And so the homeowner, which is the business owner, has an AR-15, and he's confronting someone that he believes is inside the home. We're not hearing anyone else, and we don't see anyone else. But according to what he's told someone else prior to this video, he believes that someone is inside his house. Now, and no one else sees anyone, just him. So the Austin Police Department shows up because a 911 call went out that there's a man with a rifle shooting into a house. And so the 911 caller, and we're going to listen to that 911 call as well, but I want you to listen a little bit of what he said. We'll play that here in a second, and that gives us a little insight into what some other people were thinking at the moment. And so the officers pull up, and then really quickly, they say, drop the gun, pow, 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 immediately, real quick. And I want to break that down a little bit because, one, he's standing in the entryway of his home, and he doesn't have any ear protection on at all. He fired an AR-15 in the entryway, which is going to echo, and an AR-15 is really loud all by itself. And the fact that you're standing in the entryway, that means the shots that you fired are going to be even louder. So his ears are ringing, and he can't hear anything around him right now. And so when the officers pull up and tell him to drop the gun, I'm willing to bet he didn't hear any of that at all. Probably didn't realize that they were officers until after he was shot on the ground, and then he says, "It wasn't me. It wasn't me." All right, so let's listen to the 911 call. Take a listen to this.
Austin 911, do you need police, fire, EMS, or mental health services?
Police and possibly mental health.
To what address or nearest cross street?
2301 2nd, or is this 3rd? I forget. Fletcher. 2nd and Fletcher, I believe.
Oh, okay. And is it a house, duplex, or an apartment?
These are houses.
Okay. And is it happening at 2301 South 3rd?
No, it's across the street at a duplex on 2nd.
Across the street at duplex on 2nd Street. Okay. And what's your first name?
There's a guy on the left side of the duplex approached me earlier today saying that he saw two suspicious people earlier. I was wanting to know if I saw them as well, and I hadn't. And he is currently running around outside with, I believe, a rifle. And he's just lifting it up and pointing it down the street.
Okay. So he's pointing a rifle down the street towards the
Yeah. And currently he's ready to go back inside. He's got all of his lights on now.
He's inside the house now?
He's standing in the doorway of his house.
Okay. Does he still have the rifle?
Yes.
Does it look like he's pointing it at anyone?
Currently it's at low ready.
Okay.
Now, if you joined us, we listened to the 911 call of an officer-involved shooting that happened earlier last month, and it was Rajan David Moonesinghe, happened on November
Is it still
15th.
in his hand?
Yes, ma'am.
Is he black, white, Hispanic, Asian?
Looks to be white.
Could you see what color shirt?
Not a shirt. He's wearing what is that garment called? Looks kind of like most of a robe.
Okay, so can you see what color?
It's gray.
Gray, and you
And
said it's
he
a
has
robe?
dark pants.
Okay. Does he appear to be under the influence of any drugs or alcohol, or you can't tell?
Couldn't say for drugs. He's definitely too coordinated for alcohol.
Okay. And then does he appear to have a mental health issue?
No idea.
Okay.
But considering how paranoid he's acting, it might be.
Do you happen to know the name of the duplexes?
No, I wouldn't know the name of it.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So now this took place on November the 15th at 12:28 a.m. The Austin Police Department continues to investigate the officer-involved shooting that occurred on that day. And Austin 911 Communications received that call there regarding a man with a gun across the street from 2301 South 3rd Street in the area of 2nd Street and Fletcher Street. Now, 1 minute later at 12:30 a.m., APD officers were dispatched to this location. The caller remained on the phone line with Austin 911 Communications while officers responded to the scene. The caller said that the man seemed to be scared of something inside of his own home and was turning the outside lights on and off. And the caller said the man was pointing his rifle at the interior of his home, and the caller then stated the man just fired into his own home. The caller said the police were on scene and the man fired again, and the man who fired the rifle was later identified as Rajan David Moonesinghe, and the address where Moonesinghe was located was later identified as 2216 South 3rd Street. Now, two officers driving separate marked police vehicles arrived at approximately 12:33 a.m., 3 minutes after the initial call was dispatched. As one of the officers pulled up to the residence, he heard gunshots and realized that he was directly in front of where Mr. Moonesinghe was located. Both arriving officers then drove past the residence. The two officers exited their vehicles and sought cover while Mr. Moonesinghe, who was standing on the porch, continued firing a rifle. The first officer to observe Mr. Moonesinghe gave him a verbal command to drop the gun. The officer fired his department-approved firearm at Mr. Moonesinghe. Mr. Moonesinghe was struck and fell to the ground. The second officer, who had just exited his vehicle, made contact with the first officer. The second officer gave verbal commands to Mr. Moonesinghe to show his hands. The officers did not receive a response from Mr. Moonesinghe. Both officers observed the rifle on the ground near Mr. Moonesinghe. Now, if you take a look at the video, you'll see when they said drop the gun, that first shot actually hit him in the hand. He dropped the rifle. We come back from the break. We're going to talk a little bit more about this. This is Michael Cargill, and you are listening to Come and Talk It.
Peace. This is Maj Toure. You're listening to Come and Talk It Radio with Michael Cargill.
I'm a U.S. Army veteran with a strong sense of duty and respect for our system of government. After 12 years, I was honorably discharged and decided I would fulfill the American dream of entrepreneurship and open up a gun shop in Austin, Texas. At my shop, I teach people to be law-abiding and how to safely use their firearm. On page 46, going to talk about Penal Code Section 46.02. The day that ban went into effect, I went into my local ATF in Austin and turned over my bump stock because I'm a law-abiding citizen. But I wasn't going down without a legal fight. So that's why I reached out to NCLA.
NCLA is representing Michael Cargill because federal agencies do not have the power to rewrite statutes. Bump stocks are not machine guns. If Congress wants to change the law and ban bump stocks, it certainly can do so. But we can't have the executive branch rewriting a statute and putting people in jail for up to 10 years.
It's a problem because, this government agency has said, you know what, something that is legal is now illegal, and we're going to confiscate it from you, and we're not going to compensate you for it, and you're going to become a criminal.
The goal of our case here is to tell the ATF that they can't get away with this kind of administrative lawmaking. This isn't constitutionally permissible, and this goes against everything that our nation was founded on.
The bump stock ban turned innocent law-abiding citizens into criminals overnight, even though they were compliant with the statute. And that's not right.
This case is not about where you stand on bump stocks. It's about the rule of law. It's about whether an agency can rewrite a statute and turn a law-abiding citizen into a criminal. If the ATF can ban bump stocks, any agency can ban anything.
Welcome back to Come and Talk It. And now here's Michael Cargill.
All right, so we're back and we're talking about the officer-involved shooting in the Austin Police Department, the Rajan Moonesinghe case that took place on November the 15th at 12:28 a.m. And so we were listening to the 911 call. We looked at the ring camera video of the actual shooting. And we're talking about when the officers moved in after Mr. Moonesinghe had been shot. And so the second officer, who had just exited his vehicle, made contact with the first officer. And that second officer gave verbal commands to Mr. Moonesinghe to show his hands. The officers did not receive a response from Mr. Moonesinghe, and both officers observed the rifle on the ground near Mr. Moonesinghe. A third officer then arrived on the scene, and all three officers approached Mr. Moonesinghe, who was still located on the porch of the residence with the rifle nearby. And the officers immediately began life-saving measures. The front door was open, and officers could see into the residence. One of the officers gave verbal commands from the open door to check for anyone who may have been injured or inside the residence. Officers checked the residence and did not locate anyone inside the home. Now, at approximately 12:37 a.m., Austin Travis County EMS arrived on the scene, continued life-saving measures, and transported Mr. Moonesinghe to a local hospital where Mr. Moonesinghe succumbed to his injuries and was pronounced deceased. Civilians and officers on the scene did not sustain physical injuries, and the rifle observed on the ground near Mr. Moonesinghe and several spent shell casings were recovered and seized as evidence. Now, and all this is, the weird thing about this is the quickness of the commands, and I want to go back before that, because I also want to talk about the officers when they arrived on the scene. Typically, in a situation like this, the police officers that arrived on the scene should park, at least a block or two away, and then move up, succinctly, and behind cover, and then give clear commands. Because we don't know, according to the 911 caller, they should have been given the information that, that was the homeowner in the robe, in the gray robe. And so that was actually, had the rifle. And so that information should have been relayed to them. So not sure, what information they actually got, on their screen before they arrived on the scene there, because they did hear shots because they were close by as well. So they were actually, things are happening pretty quick there. Beats, hearts are moving kind of fast, and, blood pressure's kind of up there. Because they're going, they're hearing these shots and responding to that scene pretty quickly. Now, once the officers got there and told him to drop the gun, man, they didn't give him enough time. Zach, didn't have enough time.
Yeah, what are they expecting to happen?
Yeah, so let's go ahead and let's play that one more time so you can hear that. All right, so he's just fired into his home. Just that quick. They said drop the gun and they fired immediately. Drop the gun before you even get it out. Drop the gun. Pow,
You're
pow,
still
pow.
hearing them finish the word gun when they start
They
shooting.
start shooting. And the first shot hit his hand. There was 2 other shots after that. And he immediately dropped the gun from the first shot that was fired. And then they continued to fire it again once he was on the ground. So he didn't have a chance.
No chance.
No chance at all. Sad situation. So it's probably going to be one of those situations where they're going to have to pay out some money.
That's sadly for taking somebody's life.
Right. Yeah. So not sure. I'm not sure of the Austin Police Department's policy. As far as I know, they should have parked, a little further away and then moved up behind cover, gave clear commands, and at least given him a chance to respond to that command that you just gave him.
Mm-hmm.
So he didn't have a chance whatsoever to respond. So we'll see how this progresses and how this investigation goes and actually what happens. So my hat is off to the Austin Police Department for, actually releasing all the video and everything so we can take a look at it and see it for ourselves. And the family's got questions. The family's upset, rightfully so. And also, I want to go back because I'm thinking, I wonder if he was on something, if the homeowner was on like Ambien or something like that. Because it was just, they didn't find anyone else in the home. There was when police got there, they searched the house, no one else was there. So, something's going on there. Something's weird.
Would love to hear his side of the story.
But we can't.
Nope.
So I'm wondering if he was on something, because something's there. And then even the 911 caller says, this guy's way too paranoid. Something's going on. So the 911 caller is thinking something was wrong with him as well, and not alcohol. Something was up. So I'm wondering if he was on something. Could he be on Ambien or something else like that? Just wondering. But don't know. Too weird.
We'll probably never know.
And we talk about things like this in the course. And when let me go back a little bit. I want to talk about the 911 call because also the caller said that the house, we didn't listen to the friend yet, did we? Okay, so all right. You know what? Before I talk about that, let me listen to one more interview. Take a listen to this interview of a friend of Mr. Rajan David Moonesinghe. Listen to this.
What I know is Rajan came back from California that day. He did his normal business. He's opening a restaurant downtown at the Sea Home, and he came back. He was at home. He was with one of his coworkers and friends, Garrett, at the house. He thought there was something going on. There was an intruder. I don't know if he heard something or what Garrett described as what made them think there was an intruder, but I know he went to the neighboring house who has a security detail set up, and he'd asked them if they'd seen something, and I know then Garrett was there for a while. Garrett left. When he left, Rajan then I think continued to investigate. He had a gun on his person, so he went out to go look around his house, rousting around looking for something. And then from what happened next was, I think he addressed the person or whatever, the intruder in his house. He shot into his house. In that intervening time, the security guard that was next door had called the police. The police had come out and surreptitiously station themselves next door one of our neighbors' houses. There's a large fence there that sort of can obscure anyone. And so they came in very quietly and sort of waited around the corner. And then Rajan comes out of the house with his gun, and they simultaneously tell him to drop his gun and shoot him without sort of alerting them to the fact that they're the Austin PD, without giving him a millisecond to respond to their request. So in the sense that they were doing their duty as law enforcement. It's confusing to me. I know that the security guard reached out to them because it's not his position to do something like this, but it seems like he was probably doing what he was told to do properly, where I think Austin PD sort of went beyond the expectation of sort of their job.
The security guard, it's not the same neighbor that Rajan had confided in about someone being there, right?
No, so just directly to the side of him, there's another family. They also have a Labrador. I think he'd asked them if they'd seen anything. It's directly adjacent. The person with the security guard has a gated fence and a security guard outside. They've only moved in, I want to say like 6 weeks ago, within the last 2 months.
Gotcha, so this is a security guard that's protecting someone's home.
It is a private security guard.
Gotcha. What could have been?
It troubles me because it wasn't that there was little time, there was no time. You actually have to have some time elapse. If I ask you to hand me something and you don't do it immediately, I can't get mad at you for not doing it. So like that plays out in any circumstance, so that when it's something where it's life and death, you'd expect to take extra caution to provide any possible opportunity for him, especially since they were around the corner. It's not as if they were in a position where yeah, under no circumstances would I expect any security or any police force in any position where they could sort of actually have an expectation of a response, do what they did. So for me, I'm a private citizen. I am now trepidatious about calling the police. If I saw someone in my neighborhood and I didn't know what was going on, and I felt like my instinct would be to call the police, after this, my instinct is to not call the police, because I would just have assumed they'd come by, see what's going on, and leave, not show up and kill the person. So that puts a weird burden on me as a citizen to trust law enforcement, to suddenly look at them as being someone who's probably going to go beyond the expectation of taking care of a situation. I don't know what that means in terms of remedial action. All I know is that when it's life and death, you can't be like, well, let's figure it out next time. This is one of those things where it has a very final chord to it. Rajan doesn't get an option at this point to say, yeah, I'm really sorry that this was confusing for you such that you had to come out with AR-15s. Next time, maybe we can all do a better job of being police. Instead, Rajan's dead, and the police are sort of looking at it. Well, next time we'll do a better job. It's a weird story to tell.
All right. So that's a friend of Rajan Moonesinghe. And we come back from the break. We're going to talk about the job of a private security officer. We're going to talk about private security for Texas. The fact that a neighbor next door had a private security guard protecting their home, and they didn't interfere what was going on next door. And I'll tell you why they didn't interfere. There's a reason for that, and why they chose to call the police instead. We come back from the break. We're talking about the Austin police officer involved shooting in Austin, Texas on November the 15th at 12:28 a.m. This is Michael Cargill, and you are listening to Come and Talk It.
Hi, this is Stephen Williford, the Barefoot Defender. I get my global gun news from Michael Cargill at Come and Talk It.
Whether it's a typical traffic stop or you're just involved in a use of force incident, encounters with law enforcement can be scary and stressful. In the heat of the moment, you may inadvertently say something you don't mean or make an inconsistent statement. These are red flags for officers, and if they think you're lying or your story doesn't add up, they might arrest you and let the criminal justice system decide your fate. Police officers are trained to get information from you without making the interaction seem like a formal interrogation. But remember, from the moment an officer arrives on scene, everything you say and everything you do will be scrutinized in court. The prosecuting attorney will attempt to use anything and everything against you. So what do you say? You say, I invoke my right to remain silent, and then let your attorney interact with law enforcement on your behalf. One important note though, do not throw common sense out the window. For example, if the intruder's hiding somewhere in your house when the police arrive, or if you saw the perpetrator pitch his weapon into your backyard, quickly tell the police and then stop talking. You might ask, what about my rights? What if the police never read me my Miranda rights? Miranda rights is the common name for a collection of rights contained in the Miranda warnings, given to suspects when they're placed under arrest. The warning comes from a 1966 Supreme Court case, Miranda v. Arizona. In that case, the court held that statements from a custodial interrogation would not be admissible unless proper procedural safeguards were in place to protect the defendant's Fifth Amendment rights. We've all seen these warnings on TV and movies. You have the right to remain silent. You have the right to have an attorney. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law, and so on. So do police have to read you your rights? No. It's important to note that officers are not required to read you these rights unless you're in custody and subjected to interrogation. If the police show up to a crime scene and start asking you general questions and you voluntarily tell them everything that happened, those statements can be used against you regardless of the Miranda warnings because you're not in custody. If you're put in handcuffs but you say something incriminating on your own without being questioned, those statements can and will be used against you because you're not being interrogated. You're just starting to spout off. This is why it's imperative.
Welcome back to Come and Talk It. And now here's Michael Cargill.
All right, so we're back and we're talking about Austin, Texas. We're talking about an Austin-involved shooting of Rajan David Moonesinghe that took place on November the 15th at 12:28 a.m. And I want to talk about private security because the home directly next door had a private security officer guarding that particular house on that street. Now, the job of a security officer is to work where they're working, not to be distracted or drawn away from their duty assignment. So the fact that there's something going on next door, they're not supposed to go over there and investigate what's happening next door because they can be lured away from who they're supposed to protect. So their job is to stay there at that house to protect their principal or their client and protect that person and not worry about anything else. So their job was to call 911 and, tell them what was going on, what they heard, saw, and all that good kind of stuff. What are you going to say?
Yeah, I mean, that's their duty is to their client.
Observe and report, for the most part. That's the job of a security officer. So, man, and the fact that they had security, man, it's a lot going on that street.
They're busy.
Yeah, they're very busy. People are taking their own personal protection in their own hands. The fact that
Austin is one of the 5 safest big cities in the country.
The fact that you have to have private security in your neighborhood. Yeah, it's the safest city. Wow. That's a lot.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot to digest.
Welcome to Austin, Texas.
That's right. Austin, Texas, baby. Man, we'll see how this all plays out. This is getting some national attention here. I figured it would because also the Austin Police Department is facing they're having contract negotiations right now. They're trying to get a new contract. And then this happens, during that time frame. So this is really going to hurt their chances of getting that new contract they're seeking.
So the guy did not even have the rifle pointed at the police.
No, he didn't. He had the rifle pointed at the house.
It was pointed at the house in the opposite direction?
Right. And then maybe at that time when he was shot, he had turned around, but the rifle was pointed at the ground.
But he was already shot at that point then.
And when he was shot, the rifle was pointed at the ground. It shot him in the hand. He dropped the gun. At least it looked to me he shot him in the hand. But that first shot, he dropped the gun. First shot.
And then they fired, like 5 more or something?
Yeah, there were several.
A volley
of bullets after that. That's right.
And yeah, from the sound on the video, it sounds like they didn't even get the word, drop your gun, boom, 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 boom.
First of all, what about Austin Police Department? Drop your gun, something, and give him a chance to respond. And the fact that he just fired a shot into his own house, staying in the entryway there, which is, how he did that is, not I have problems with that anyway. But the fact that he did this in the entryway, meaning that he couldn't hear anything. His ears were ringing. So there's no way he heard anything they were saying.
Mm-hmm.
No way. Impossible.
And so let's say that was just a concerned citizen license holder, right, that had their gun. They would not have been justified in shooting this guy, right?
That's right.
Because you can't really say that this guy is a threat to your life.
You can't shoot someone unless you think they're trying to kill you. But if they're shooting, at something, at a threat that they perceive as a threat, they're not a threat to you. So you're not justified in using deadly force.
So what do you think about their level of justification there?
I think that the Travis County DA is going to bring charges. I'm convinced of that.
You think?
Oh, yeah.
You think that'll actually happen, though?
Yes. Because this is Austin.
Uh-huh.
This is Jose Garza.
Have any other Austin police officers been?
Yes.
Who?
There's several officers that he's brought charges against.
Are any
And
notable cases?
Yeah, and he's gone back in time. Justin Berry. There's some total of 21 officers from the George Floyd protest. 21 officers. Yeah, so he does go after them. And
But not convicted them of murder, right?
Well, yeah, everything's still pending.
But
There's
none
still
of
pending
the
cases.
charges are murder, are they?
None. Yeah,
So aggravated assault
from the
only.
protest, right? Aggravated assault.
So, I mean, there hasn't been an Austin DA that's convicted a APD officer of murder, have they?
No. Now this DA is a little different.
This will be a first.
He's like an activist DA, where
Mhm.
he's actually going after police officers rather than
And not after criminals.
That's
right?
correct. Not after criminals.
But I mean, is this APD officer a criminal or?
We'll see. This is
Because having a badge does not give you the ability to just shoot and kill.
He wasn't
with
a
impunity.
seasoned officer. He was only 2 years on the
Oh,
job.
one of the newer, fresher recruits.
Right.
So
not
that would have
experienced.
been. So if it's 2 years, that would have been the first year into COVID, which is, I think a bunch of officers left the force around that time.
Right. So you're losing that expertise.
Uh-huh.
That seasoned officer getting that really good, good training and experience.
Yeah, newer officers are a little bit more inclined to just jump the gun.
Correct.
Probably.
Right. Which she was, because
He jumped that gun. Yeah.
Definitely jumped the gun there.
He jumped the word gun.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, literally. So,
Oof.
yeah.
That's sad.
Very sad. And then we do want to talk about, before we, I guess, go to California, because I do want to talk about that case as well. We have Colorado. Why didn't the Colorado red flag law prevent the Club Q shooting? Didn't they have a red flag law?
Yeah, Colorado does, right?
Yeah, they do. Yeah, they kill it.
And he made a bomb threat prior, like a year before.
Yeah.
Didn't he?
Yeah. And so, red flag laws, also known as extreme risk protection orders, allow for judges to make a ruling that results in firearms being taken away temporarily from a person who is deemed to be at risk of harming themselves or others, and they also prevent that person from purchasing guns for a set period of time. They're aimed at protecting against the actions of individuals who have made violent threats or may be going through some sort of crisis. The way the work is, the specific people can petition a court to issue an order when someone is deemed to be behaving dangerously or making violent threats. And the categories of individuals who can petition in this way vary from state to state. But all of the states that have enacted such laws, 19 plus District of Columbia, include law enforcement officers among those who can petition the court to have a red flag order imposed. And so a household and the family members are also commonly listed. And in Maryland and Hawaii and District of Columbia, healthcare officials can petition the court should they be concerned over the behavior of a patient. In California, Hawaii, and New York, teachers or school administrators are included in the list of people who can petition the court. Now, typically, if the court finds there is a sufficient evidence of risk of violence, a judge will issue an ex parte or temporary order, and these cover a very short period until a hearing can take place. At the subsequent hearing, the potential subject of the order can provide an argument that they aren't dangerous. Now, if the court decides there is indeed a risk, it will deliver a longer-term order. Now, in most cases, it covers a period of up to a year, and the subject of the gun ban may be able to petition for the order to be ended earlier. Should they be able to prove, for example, that their moment of mental crisis is over or that they have sought sufficient treatment. Now, the petitioner can also ask for the order to be renewed at the end of the year. And like I said, this varies from state to state, but that's pretty much, what it is. And even Texas has a so-called red flag law, where you can do similarly the same thing. Typically the thing that I see in my business is that when someone reaches a certain age and like dementia sets in and things of that nature, family members tend to step in and want to remove guns from that person's home because they start forgetting, who they are, where they're going, maybe start carrying the gun, and then you forget, forget little things like how to drive, just little things like that. And so they say, hey, let's try to remove the firearms from the house, try to disable them so that person can't use them. And that usually happens where we step in and they actually bring the guns to us and we hold on to them and keep them until something happens. Either that person passes away and whoever who's the executive of the state, then those guns will go back to that person there once they have to come in and pass a background check, if that's how the will is set up. So but in any event, they still have to pass a background check, but it'll go to the person that's listed in the will. Is how that works. And so we experience that quite a bit in the gun store in our industry, where we have to hold on to firearms for people. I can see me doing that. I see that happen to you, Zach. You get when you get up there in age.
What's the matter with you?
I know, I'm just playing. I just want to see if you're paying attention. No, just joking. All right, we come back. I'm going to talk about this Austin attorney that actually walked into a bar and confronted his girlfriend, and then she didn't want to talk to him, so he pulled out a gun and tried to shoot her and also tried to shoot himself. We're going to talk about that case next. We come back from the break. And also, we're going to go to California. We're going to talk about the California clerk who was fatally shot by a robber suspect, and the suspect is not going to be charged with murder. We're going to talk about that case. So basically, the guy goes in, tries to rob the store. The clerk gives chase, shoots at the bad guy. Bad guy turns around, shoots back at the clerk, kills the clerk, and he's not going to be charged with murder. So we can talk about how that works, why he's not going to be charged, which I think I understand why he's not going to be charged. But he is going to be charged with the robbery, but not the murder. What do you think about that, Zach?
I think that's messed up.
You think that's messed up?
Yeah. So he committed a robbery, which is, in Texas at least, something, well, I guess the laws are different in California.
Yeah, laws are different in California.
But he could be justifiably shot for robbery in Texas.
Okay. All right. Well, we're going to break it down. We're going to explain why he's not going to be charged with the murder, but he's going to be charged with the robbery.
Because it's California.
You say California? I'm going to say let's look at the law. Let's see what the law says. We come back from the break. We'll talk about that and more. This is Michael Cargill, and you are listening to Come and Talk It.
Folks, this is Doug Man Jones. And I get my gun news from Michael Cargill at Come and Talk It.
Hello, my name is Edwin Walker. I'm an independent program attorney with Texas Law Shield. I want to talk to you today about an issue that we see on a daily basis. In fact, you yourself will encounter it on a daily basis, and that is the subject of road rage. I am sure that you have all seen road rage. You may have actually been involved in a road rage incident. Now, if you're a responsible gun owner, I'm going to give you a few words of advice on how to react when you find yourself in one of these unfortunate road rage incidents. While on the roadways, we all observe something that makes us upset. Whether it's poor driving, unsafe driving, or just simply somebody being very discourteous. By all means, you should restrain yourself from engaging that person and telling them how bad their actions were, because this can be perceived as an act of road rage. If you're a lawful gun owner, you have a firearm in your vehicle, you do not want to be viewed as the aggressor in a road rage situation. Now, with regard to a situation where an individual has chosen to rage against you, and you are the actual victim of the road rage, if you and the other individuals are still in their automobiles, do not use your firearm to respond to any of the rager's activities. This is because law enforcement views the fact that you're both still safely in your metal boxes as removing any threat of immediacy that you may be harmed. So please, if you have a gun, somebody is raging against you, forget you have a gun. Don't display it, don't brandish it, don't show it, don't point it, and for God's sake, don't fire it. This could result in a lot of trouble for you. Now let's look at a situation where a road rage incident has escalated. It has escalated to the point where one of the participants has actually gotten out of their vehicle. We recommend that you stay in your vehicle at all times. Do not exit your vehicle, because the person who exits their vehicle is going to be looked at as the aggressor. If the other individual has exited their vehicle and they are not in contact with your vehicle and they do not have a weapon, then do not feel that you can display your weapon in an act of self-defense. People are allowed to just simply stand there and scream at you, scream whatever they want. Until they make a demonstrative effort to try to harm you, there is no immediate threat.
Welcome back to Come and Talk It. And now here's Michael Cargill.
All right, so we're back and we're talking about shootings that have happened around the country, and we're going to talk about another one, a little incident that happened here in Austin, Texas, and that one is of an attorney. And so we actually have a video of the attorney walking into a bar and confronting his ex-girlfriend. So take a look at what we got to show you here. All right, so guy goes into the bar, sits something down on the counter there, the attorney, and he asks his girlfriend, hey, can I talk to you? She says no, and she, turns away from him. He pulls out the gun to go and pull the trigger to shoot her, and then two of the other patrons jumped on this guy, pounced on him to try to remove the gun from him, and he still fired a shot that hit the wall there. He fired another shot, and he tried to fire a third shot that, tried to shoot himself. And everything happened real quick. And, man, I tell you, that guy that was sitting next to him that jumped into action really quick, boy, he was aware of his surroundings at all times.
That was a good move on his part.
Very good move, because he moved real quick. Not today, not on my watch.
Brave.
Both of them, actually. Both of them moved really quick. And so this guy, this attorney, and I believe the girlfriend had a restraining order out on this guy.
Yeah, I think he had a protective order.
Protective order?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm doing my research right
All right.
now. So.
And so, and if that's so, man, that's crazy. And so then he gets arrested for trying to kill her, trying to shoot himself, and he's able to bail out within 24 hours by just paying $4,000. So you can live.
Yeah, how is his bond so low?
You can
Do we have an answer to that?
No, you can.
What was he charged with?
It's Travis County.
What was he charged with?
Travis County.
Zach, do you have the story pulled up?
Yeah.
No.
So I mean, literally within 24
Thank you.
hours.
Very helpful.
24 hours, he gets out. Just by paying $4,000. Your girlfriend, ex-girlfriend has a restraining order, a protective order.
Dude.
You try to shoot her. You try to shoot yourself.
That's terrifying.
And you're able to bail out in 24 hours, and then later kills himself once he gets out. He could have gone after her.
Oh, he did end up killing himself?
Yes.
Well, good for him.
He could have gone after her. So, man, that says a lot about our, Travis County DA.
Yeah, his bond was only $40,000, and he was pulled a gun. Why does it not say what the actual charge was? There's no way it was attempted murder, though, because he wouldn't have, it wouldn't have been that low, right?
Don't know.
Well, this is awesome.
Casey, do you have details on this? Yeah, Oh, really? Rush was charged with second-degree felony, aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, family violence. It's a long name for a charge, but nonetheless, that's still a really low bond even for that. If you get picked up on, like I don't know, like weed charges or something, that's the bond for that is even maybe like 10, 20 grand. You know what I mean? I mean, you only pay 10%, but the point is that this guy clearly was trying to kill this woman, obviously, and they gave him a low bond. Yeah, I don't know. You're right. It's Travis County. It's crazy.
Yeah.
And didn't he have a situation with a previous?
He sure did.
This is not his first rodeo.
No.
Gavin Rush, 41, allegedly approached the bar with a gun while his ex-girlfriend was working as the bartender. The woman told police Rush had recently found out she was in a relationship with a new person and had been threatening to harm himself and the person she was starting a relationship with. She told police she had stopped responding to Rush's text messages. Yeah, get a grip, man.
Yeah, and this is not the first time that's happened. He did it with a previous girlfriend.
And he tried to kill himself while the guy tackled him to the ground, too.
Yes, that's correct.
And the guy who tackled him put his finger between the guard and the trigger. Wow. So who was the guy that tackled him to the ground? I mean, this dude was obviously...
he doesn't want anyone to know who he is.
Sounds like he was a...
He's a hero.
Well, it sounds like he might have been even like military or something with instincts like that.
Military, law enforcement.
But yeah, law enforcement, possibly.
I say military or law enforcement.
I agree.
And yeah, don't want anyone to know who he is. Yeah, for sure. All right, and you know what? Let's go to California. So let's talk about this California case. So the California clerk. And so this took place in, let's see. Well, let me back up a little bit. So a robber was fatally shot in Northern California gas station, fatally shot a Northern California gas station clerk, but won't be charged with murder because the victim wrongly chased and opened fire on the gunman, according to the prosecutors. So this guy goes into a gas station.
And this is where again?
This happened in California. And it's a botch. It's Contra Costa County, wherever that is. And it's a botch robbery. So the clerk gives chase to the bad guy. Bad guy runs down the street, is running away. The clerk is shooting at the bad guy. And the bad guy turns around and shoots back and hits the clerk and kills the clerk. And so he's not going to be charged. And here's why. Okay. The reason he's not going to be charged is because at the time that the clerk was chasing this guy, he was no longer in danger anymore. And we talked about this. Okay. So once the threat has stopped, you got to let him go. Remember that situation where I told you where if, let's say I start a fight and let's say I'm losing the fight and I give up, I said, okay. I give. But then you're blocking my way. You won't let me leave. Then now, because you won't let me leave, I'm justified using force, deadly force to stop you. So the clerk was no longer in danger anymore. The guy had ran away. He should have let him go. Instead of letting him go, he turns around. He's firing shots at this guy while he's trying to run away. And so the guy defends himself. At that point, he has a right to self-defense.
Yeah, we talked about that story about a month ago where the off-duty firefighter or EMS.
That's right.
Was basically, he was holding this guy down who had threatened the store clerk with a gun. And then the guy on the ground gave the gun to his girlfriend.
Oh,
his
yeah.
girlfriend shot the firefighter. And
That was
they
insane.
were not charged.
Not charged at all.
That's right.
Yeah, and you had an interesting take on that from a racial standpoint.
Which is what as a law standpoint.
Legally,
is exactly what I just said.
Legally, that was correct, but morally, ethically, common sense, logically, and every other aspect, it's completely backward.
There's right, there's wrong, and then there's the law.
This sets a really bad precedent that you can commit a felony crime that someone is justified in killing you or shooting
Michael,
you for.
think about this. Hear me out. The guy that goes into the bar in Austin tries to kill his ex-girlfriend.
Yes.
He gets tackled to the ground. Let's say he had somebody with him and he handed a gun to that guy and that dude shot the guy that tackled him to the ground. That is under your legal definition, or under the Texas law definition, or whatever state that was in, that's legal.
No, because he fired shots. That's totally different.
Whoa!
Totally
what?
different.
You're a hypocrite.
Totally different.
What?
Totally different. No, he fired shots.
That is not.
It is.
You're just trying to stir the pot.
Nope.
You just want to stir up the pot.
Nope. Totally different.
Michael.
I know. You just don't like it.
I don't like it because it's wrong.
I know.
And we need to live in a society where the wrong things are punished,
There's
and
right.
the right things are rewarded.
There's right, there's wrong.
Come on, man.
Come on, man.
And then there's the law. There's right, there's wrong.
You know who you're starting to sound a lot like?
Who?
Garza. Jose Garza.
Nah, I never sound like him.
My name is Jose Garza. I'm humbled to be your district attorney.
Oh, Casey on the buttons on the board. I love it. Yeah, I mean, look, I can't swear on the radio, obviously.
So here's how it goes.
Cut me off real fast.
Here's how this goes.
It's nonsense, okay? Michael. That's nonsense.
In the eyes of the law, Mr. Williams' actions ceased to be self-defense when Mr. Williams pursued Mr. Jackson and the other suspect with the firearm.
Well,
he continued to pursue Mr. Jackson after he shot him, according to the DA's office.
Okay, but didn't he steal something?
The legal distinction is clear. When your property and your life are being threatened and the individual is legally justified in using deadly force in self-defense. However, once the threat of harm has dissipated, the victim of property crime cannot then use deadly force to reclaim stolen property in California.
So it's different than Texas?
It's different in Texas.
Okay,
oh, yeah.
that's I wanted to make sure that point was made.
That's
yeah.
right. We're talking California. You got to know the laws in the state that you live.
Well, we have a lot of listeners from Texas, though, so I want to make sure that they know that, in Texas, he could have shot that guy.
Absolutely.
Which is why Texas is the best.
In Texas, he would have been justified.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Adios, mofo.
Oh, my goodness. Casey, you...
On the money, Casey. Anyways, you said in the eyes of the law that this was not justified, right?
Yeah. So in California,
but the guy's still dead,
right? In
so don't rob a gas station. That's the point.
And you know when it comes to a lot of different people think that you can shoot someone for theft during the daytime. Like someone walks into a store and load up their shopping cart with groceries and then go out to their vehicle and put those groceries in the vehicle. Can you shoot them for it? No, you can't, because that's theft in the daytime. It's not robbery or aggravated robbery.
Because they didn't have a weapon?
They didn't take it with force,
right?
And they didn't use a weapon to take it. So it's not robbery or aggravated robbery. It's theft.
Right.
So you can't shoot someone for theft in the daytime. Not even in the Texas law. Only theft at night.
What do you mean they didn't use force? So
I'm saying in a different
Can you define
situation.
force for anybody that wouldn't understand what that means?
Force, there's force and there's deadly force. Force does not cause death or serious bodily injury. Deadly force does. So force, I displayed a gun. I'm using force to make you comply with what I want you to do.
Okay.
I push you. That's using force. I hit you is using force. As long as I don't cause death or serious bodily injury. If it causes death or serious bodily injury, then that's deadly force. I shoot you. I stab you. That's deadly force.
So then what's defined as serious bodily injury? Because, different people could determine that as different things.
Yeah. I cut you. I break your arm. That's serious bodily injury.
What if you just punch me in the face?
No, it's not serious bodily injury. Unless unless it causes damage, brain damage.
The intent, it has less to do with intent and more to do with the results of the physical act.
Yeah. We come back, we'll finish this talk. This is Michael Cargill, and you are listening to Come and Talk It.
This is Coley on Noir, and you're listening to Come and Talk It with Michael Cargill.
He didn't act that way. He never flinched. He went for his pockets. And when he went for his pockets, I thought my heart was going to stop. I mean, Hi, my name's Jerry. The incident we're going to talk about took place in early March of 2017. It started back about 3 years ago. We had a fella in the neighborhood that nobody really knew. We weren't familiar with him, and he was pretty regular about speeding up and down the street. It escalated into more speeding, threats. He chunked some rocks up into the yard and broke my windshield in my truck, and it escalated from that into death threats. And he was constantly chirping about how he was gonna end it and he was gonna kill so-and-so, he was gonna kill me, and it was all chirping. The day of the confrontation, I was leaving the neighborhood and heading to a meeting downtown Fort Worth. It was a beautiful day, I had my windows down, I was in my Suburban. As I was heading out, just about to leave my neighborhood, this guy comes into the neighborhood, sees me coming out, pulls into my lane, causes me to stop, and then he kind of cut at an angle in front of me and jumped out of his truck and ran at the side of my Suburban, saying, "Today's the day you're going to die. He's going to end it." He comes over and he's slamming his hands up against the side of my vehicle, my truck. But he's screaming at me, telling me he's going to kill me. He's going to end it. This is the day I'm going to die. He reaches in to try and open up my door. I grabbed my weapon. I put my weapon right at his chest at the window and told him to get back, told him to get the hell back. And he never did. He never moved. He never changed anything. He went for his pockets, shuffling into his pockets, and he pulls out his cell phone. I drove off around and called 911 before I got to the end of my street. Yeah, I've carried a weapon for pretty near 20 years, and I've never had to pull my weapon out. Now, I can tell you that when you do that, it's emotions are incredible. You feel the flush come through your body because you just pulled a weapon on somebody, you're pointing a gun at somebody, and they don't move. And that's a whole nother, they didn't say, "Whoa, I'm stop," like anybody that you'd think would do that, but he didn't act that way. He never flinched. He went for his pockets, and when he went for his pockets, I thought my heart was gonna stop. I was actually told that if he would have pulled out a gun, he'd have shot me before I could have actually pulled the trigger, and that's pretty awakening. I contacted Texas Law Shield and spoke with them and got a statement that I wrote, and I turned it in the following day. And it was subsequent to that I was told that I was gonna be arrested for deadly conduct, and Texas Law Shield stepped up to the plate, and they got in my corner and handled it from there.
Factually, the case was unique because Jerry never got out of his vehicle, but was still forced to pull his weapon and defend himself. And you don't see that often. Usually, a self-defense case, both people are outside the vehicle.
They ended up arresting me. Texas Law Shield got me out in a matter of a very few hours. They called me on a regular basis and stayed in touch with me and kept me up to speed on what the progress was, but the delays took about a year.
Welcome back to Come and Talk It. And now here's Michael Cargill.
All right, let's go up to New York. New York City. Let's go to Harlem. So the New York police investigators are seeking suspects in a homicide weeks after a 45-year-old man was beaten by about 30 people on ATVs and dirt bikes. This happened in East 125th Street in East Harlem, and the man whom police identified as Arthur Cook was driving east and right around 10 p.m. on November the 4th when someone in the group struck the passenger side mirror on his vehicle. And the police department said when he got out to inspect the damage, riders began beating him. They beat him so bad they killed this guy. One of the people in the group brandished a firearm, and so basically the guy was beaten, and then paramedics showed up, and he was pronounced dead at the hospital. Trauma to his neck and spine, and crazy. So whenever something like that happens, you really should stay in your vehicle. Don't exit your vehicle. In Texas, if you're in Texas, the law protects you if you stay in your vehicle. You have the castle doctrine. If someone enters your vehicle, try to remove you from a vehicle, you can use force or deadly force to stop them, so never get out of your vehicle. And always remember, the law really doesn't care about the damage being caused to your vehicle. They don't care that someone broke a mirror, they keyed your vehicle, they dented your vehicle. The law doesn't care about that other than it's a civil matter.
Sounds like the law doesn't really care about much at all, honestly. What's interesting about this case is that in New York, they have very strict gun laws, and you've basically, from what I understand, got to know the local sheriff in order to get your permit accepted, right, to buy one. So what's funny is that with all those laws, this biker gang of criminals still, one of them brandished a piece at this guy, so they still got a gun. But this guy, who, if he had a gun, possibly could have saved himself, and he couldn't. So, again, the law's not doing anything here, Michael. So you bring up the law a lot, but the law means just about diddly squat.
Well, it's important that you know.
So what I say is illegally carry a gun.
It's important that you know the law. And so that way,
Oh, is it?
You stay within the confines of the law. You stay within that sheet of paper.
Yeah, but Michael, if this guy knew the law, guess what? He'd still be dead.
Oh, he should move.
The law should be changed. He shouldn't move.
I wouldn't be in New York.
That's a good point, but I'm just saying guess where he lives?
I live in the free state.
Does he live in Texas or does he live in New York?
Hey, he's
He
not
lives in New York.
He should live in the free state.
Now he's living 6 feet under the ground because the law in New York is trash.
There you go.
And also probably unconstitutional
And
because
that's how they vote. That's their fault. Right?
It's true.
And right now we have going on.
Is it true?
We have elections going on right now, and for mayor of Austin, and so we have to decide whether we're going to have someone that's going to, I guess, push for
have we had
stronger
Kirk
law
Watson?
enforcement or push for something else.
What's that Kirk Watson guy's deal?
He used to be a state senator. He used to be former mayor of the city of Austin.
He used to be the mayor?
Yeah, he used to be mayor of the city of Austin.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, he was former mayor. Then he became state senator, and now he's running for mayor again.
Is he any good?
Well, I mean, to
Is
me,
he better than Adler?
To me, he put us in the problems that we're in right now. He's the
Okay,
reason
so
why
he's-
we didn't expand, 35, why we didn't do a lot of things that we should have done, 20 years ago.
So who's got a realistic shot at becoming mayor of Austin?
Well, it's either going to be him or Cecilia Israel, and I'm willing to bet, if I had to put my money on it, I bet you Cecilia Israel is probably going to win. And she's not. I think. How can I say this? Anti-law enforcement.
Hey! Just jumped out of my skin.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
She is anti-law enforcement.
That's it. That's how I'm going to.
What's her stance on firearms?
I'm painting her that way because of the people that she's surrounding herself with in her camp.
Like Jose Garza,
like the Chad Moore, the people, the people that are in that defund the police.
No, I know. I mean, I'm not. Look, defund the police, refund the police, expel them. I don't know. Who cares? My question is, what's her stance on Second Amendment? Because the cops, even if they get defunded or refunded, or
neither one of them support the Second Amendment.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that the police aren't gonna make it to you on time to protect you, anyways. Their response time is super slow, and they don't really care. Yeah, you know what I mean? You've said it before. You got to protect yourself. Can't expect the police to protect you. That's not even their job anyway, really.
Both of them were in the state legislature. Cecilia Israel was a state representative, voted against the pro gun bills. Kirk White, senator, who voted against pro-gun bills. They're both anti-gun.
But I know. I guess what I'm saying is, like, there's a difference between voting against a pro-gun bill and, like, actively writing and supporting really anti-gun bill.
They both
do that as well?
Yes,
so they're not much different. So we're SOL.
In the eyes of the gun owners, they're both the same.
In the eyes of the people, huh?
Yeah, they're both the same.
They're the same. Okay.
Evil and evil.
All right. Thank you for enlightening me.
And it's we're going to push the city to burn to the ground. That's where we're going to be at.
It's not going to burn to the ground. We're going to just turn into a New York, LA type situation.
This is going to be an example. Austin is an example of how to destroy a city within 3-4 years.
I think Adler is going to go down as he's going to be remembered for probably being the one responsible for all this. If you say Kirk Watson got us into all this stuff, but I mean Adler has expedited the process tremendously.
It was a lapse in judgment.
You remember when I interviewed him and I asked him about that the Home Depot on St. John's, why we can't house homeless people there for free?
He's like,
and he was like,
yeah. And it's still there. That building.
What's it being used for?
Nothing.
That's
right.
And it never will be. You know why? Never mind. I'm not even gonna get into it.
Yeah.
All right, next story.
All right, let's go to Virginia. Virginia Walmart gunman Manifesto claims he was betrayed by his coworkers he killed and felt led by Satan. What's up with this story?
I didn't hear that part of it.
Oh my God! What are you doing for the last 10 minutes? Okay.
What have I been doing?
All right. So an employee, Andre Bing, an employee and an accused gunman behind 6 killings in a Chesapeake, Virginia Walmart on Tuesday, left a manifesto blaming the deadly violence on torment by co-workers and demonic influences. So he was crazy. Okay. Sorry, God, I failed you. This was not your fault, but my own. I failed to listen to the groans of the Holy Spirit, which made me poor representation of you.
This is screaming victim mentality to me.
That's what he wrote. That's
I
what he wrote.
failed you. Be better. Do better, man. If you actually believe in God, you wouldn't do something like this. This guy sounds like he's just full of it.
Yeah, he illegally purchased a 9mm handgun from a local store on the morning of the shooting, and police revealed Friday he had no criminal history. Police found a box of ammunition, various items in reference to the 9mm handgun, box, receipt, and other paperwork. So he didn't have a criminal history at all. Legally purchased the gun.
Oh, this is the guy?
That's the guy.
He looks like a psycho.
Mm-hmm.
Come on.
Yeah, those
man.
eyes. Those are psycho eyes. It's true.
What'd you say?
His eyes.
Oh, yeah, he's got the eyes. You know who else has eyes? Nah, never mind.
Yeah, and so he wrote that he was harassed by idiots and low intelligence and lack of wisdom, specifically mentioning an incident which his dignity was completely taken away beyond repair by my phone getting hacked. The death note includes multiple anecdotes of what being believed anecdotes of what being believed was targeted harassment from his coworkers. He goes on to say he believed that those around him were intentionally harassing him and sabotaging his life.
Oh, he closed out by claiming that he was a loving person and saying what he had wanted was to find a wife. My true intent was never to murder anyone, believe it or not, blah, blah, blah. I was one of the most loving people in the world if you get to know me. I just wanted a wife that was equally yoked as I.
Yoked?
And obsessed over
I don't think that means what you think it means.
No.
Yoked, like religiously. You're a personal trainer, so I know that you probably
Come on, he
thought,
thinks he's yoked.
I want a jacked wife!
Spiritually jacked.
So this guy has like some sort of God complex, I take it. He says these people are low intelligence. He's an egomaniac. He thinks he's better than other people. He is entitled, didn't get what he wanted from these people because he probably act like as crazy as what his note sounds like. And then he went nuts. I mean, how do you stop something like this, Michael? It's got nothing to do with gun law, in my opinion.
Well, I'm sure he has a family, and I'm sure his family knew something was wrong with this guy, and that's where it should have started.
Do you really think that, though? Like,
Yes.
if he's crazy, what if it was genetic and his family's crazy, too, and they don't even know because they're nuts?
Mm.
You know what I mean?
Well, you know.
Because we talk about this a lot, and I do think that a lot of it relies on the family, but I think just community in general should be held more responsible.
How? Why? Why wouldn't the family?
No.
Okay.
I include the family
Oh,
in
okay.
that's
In
in
the
the
community.
umbrella of the
Okay.
community. I should have been more specific, but that's my take on it because just like with the ATV gang in New York, the biker gang,
Mhm.
they still had a gun, and I guarantee it was an illegal gun.
Yeah.
And if this guy wanted to do this, he could have gotten an illegal gun. So it doesn't matter if he purchased it legally or not, in my opinion.
Mhm.
What do you think, Zach?
You'll get it either way, right?
Right. So how do we, I mean, I don't know, man. Maybe people just need to start going to church again or something.
Oh, now you want to turn to the Lord.
I went to church once, remember? And you said you said you thought I was going to catch on fire.
I thought you were going to burst into flames.
Dude, you know what's crazy? When I walked in, smoke started coming off of my body.
I believe it.
True story.
We come back from the break. We're going to talk about Gary finding the Lord. And also, we're going to go to Colorado. This is Michael Cargill, and you are listening to Come and Talk It.
Hey, this is AWR Hawkins, Breitbart News, and you're listening to Come and Talk It with Michael Cargill.
I'm a U.S. Army veteran with a strong sense of duty and respect for our system of government. After 12 years, I was honorably discharged and decided I would fulfill the American dream of entrepreneurship and open up a gun shop in Austin, Texas. At my shop, I teach people to be law-abiding and how to safely use their firearm. On page 46, going to talk about Penal Code Section 46.02. The day that ban went into effect, I went into my local ATF in Austin and turned over my bump stock because I'm a law-abiding citizen. But I wasn't going down without a legal fight. So that's why I reached out to NCLA.
NCLA is representing Michael Cargill because federal agencies do not have the power to rewrite statutes. Bump stocks are not machine guns. If Congress wants to change the law and ban bump stocks, it certainly can do so. But we can't have the executive branch rewriting a statute and putting people in jail for up to 10 years.
It's a problem because, this government agency has said, you know what, something that is legal is now illegal, and we're going to confiscate it from you, and we're not going to compensate you for it, and you're going to become a criminal.
The goal of our case here is to tell the ATF that they can't get away with this kind of administrative lawmaking. This isn't constitutionally permissible, and this goes against everything that our nation was founded on.
The bump stock ban turned innocent law-abiding citizens into criminals overnight, even though they were compliant with the statute. And that's not right.
This case is not about where you stand on bump stocks. It's about the rule of law. It's about whether an agency can rewrite a statute and turn a law-abiding citizen into a criminal. If the ATF can ban bump stocks, any agency can ban anything.
Welcome back to Come and Talk It. And now here's Michael Cargill.
All right, let's travel to Colorado and let's talk about this Club Q shooting. That was the gay club shooting, right, Gary?
Yes.
Okay. And so what happened with that shooting, ma'am? Get a little closer. There we go.
Hello?
Yeah.
Who is this? Who's our guest today, Michael?
Yeah, who are you?
Hi, I'm Maddie.
What up, Maddie? How you doing, Maddie?
I'm doing great.
Nice. So you heard about this Club Q shooting, right?
Yes.
What is it all about?
I was told that a non-binary person went in there and...
Non-binary? What is that?
I have no idea.
Okay.
It's when you're made out of ones and zeros.
I think it's just they don't identify as either male or female, so they just essentially are no one. I mean...
You're saying you're nothing.
Dude.
No.
I think it's a mental illness.
Do you? Okay, but anyway, all right. So Club Q, this person is non-binary.
Non-binary, and I think it was an ex-veteran was able to take him out or take them out, and then a drag queen stepped on his groin area.
Nice. Nothing like taken down by a drag queen.
At least that's what I read.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Nice. All right. So and there's more to this story because now there are reports coming out of about the parents. So the mother steps in, to the spotlight, and also the dad steps into the spotlight. The mother, Lori Vopel, was issued a court summons for an alleged incident just hours after the nightclub shooting. But according to the information that's been released, the Colorado Springs Police Department says that she was arrested that night, and that Lori Vopel, which is the mother of the Club Q shooter, has been charged with resisting arrest, a misdemeanor, and disorderly conduct, an unclassified petty offense, according to court documents and a copy of the citation obtained by the news media. Now, details are limited as of this past week, but the alleged incident in question happened at an apartment complex just a few hours after the shooting. The mother of the shooter was warned multiple times to stop yelling or she'll be arrested. And according to the citation, she's accused of continuing to make unreasonable noise and directly next to multiple apartments around 3:30 a.m. in the morning. So that's the mother. So she's crazy.
And did we talk about the father yet? Did you guys talk about that already, or did
No,
we?
and the father. There's a video of the father, and I guess we can pull that video up of the father and let you guys take a listen to that. And
I don't know if there's swearing in it though. Did we check that, Casey? It's the link, the Instagram link. It should say Colorado.
So,
dad.
All right, so man, but the mother, I just
So look, the dad was used to. I think he was on an episode of that rehab show, that reality TV rehab show for being addicted to methamphetamines.
Seriously?
Yes, and he
Oh,
also was like an extremely conservative Christian Republican because he. Basically, his reaction to the shooting, finding out his son shot up a gay club, was, what was my son doing in a gay club? Was he gay? Oh, he wasn't gay? That's all he cared about. That's psychotic.
Good thing he's not gay.
That's psychotic, man.
That's all he was concerned. He's like, whew, glad he's not gay. It's like, okay, what about
But
the
he
fact-
was non-binary.
What about the fact he just shot a bunch of people? No, I'm just glad he's not gay.
Right. So that, I mean, and then his mom was doing what you were just saying, right?
This is his father.
This is his family, dude.
His father, his mother, and his father.
This proves Mike was just saying about
cray one, cray two.
So how can you put it on the family if the family's crazier than him?
Create a child and creates cray 3.
Look, dude, here's the deal. Crazy people shouldn't be allowed to have kids.
Okay.
I said it.
Yeah. All right.
All right.
Yeah. All right. But we're gonna listen to the dad.
I'm exaggerating a little bit, but there's got to be somebody's got to come up with an idea that can regulate how
there's more to the dad because the dad's like a former MMA fighter, right? And a porn star.
Yeah, dude, it's really out of control. See, this makes
what'd
me
you think?
The guy, they need Jesus, man.
Nah,
But not that kind of Jesus.
Don't put that on the
not
Lord.
Not the anti.
That's too much for the Lord to handle.
So you think the family should be able to handle it, but God can't handle it?
That's too
and
much.
these people are crazy.
That's too much. That's too
They
much.
can't handle it. I'm just saying, man.
It's too much. Former MMA fighter, porn star, meth head. And only thing he's
like,
and
how
the,
you gonna-
and the
how-
one thing he's concerned with, he says,
I'm glad my son's not gay.
glad he's not gay.
Dude, how are you gonna judge somebody for being gay if you're in porn, you fight people for a living, and you got addicted to meth?
Right. Well, let's see what the dad had to say.
Come
I don't
on.
know if we're ready for that video yet. All right, we're almost ready with it. So,
yeah,
that's Colorado, though. I mean, what do you expect from Colorado? You know, they've legalized weed. What do you expect? Go ahead, Zach. You're like, I'm not touching that.
I don't
All right.
think.
All right, weed folks, don't come after me.
I don't think that anybody could have prevented this guy from doing this.
No.
I think we live in a society that is so out of control, and everybody's obsessed with themselves. And
But we're
if,
quick-
and if I feel bad, I'm going to do something to lash out at somebody else. And
But
we're all
quick to blame the guns, though. That's what's sad about it.
Well, yeah. And I think Colorado's even got new gun laws that should have.
Oh, yeah.
Their red flag laws didn't prevent this.
Right.
They're big on red flag laws out there.
And
That
they
didn't do
should've.
anything. And they, yeah, it doesn't make any sense, man.
Yeah.
You know, there's not. We just need to, as a society, we just need to develop go back to having a better value system or something, because this is just getting out of control.
Well, let's hear-
guns used to be more legal.
60
years ago, and this wasn't happening. It's got nothing to do with guns. This is a trend in society.
It's in the
that's
water.
becoming more and more popular. You know what? It probably does have something to do with estrogen being in the water.
something in the
But
water.
I'm not allowed to talk about conspiracies on here anymore. Otherwise, I'll get pulled off the air. So we're not going to get into it, Michael.
All right. Well, let's hear what the dad had to say. Let's go to the dad in Colorado.
They were on going to find it's a gay bar.
Yeah, right. And
I was like, oh my God, is he gay? As a scare, oh my God, shit, is he gay? And he's not gay, so it's like this.
well, you guys had conversations about that. You were.
Oh yeah,
you
I was adamant
told him.
about it.
Yeah, you were adamant. Gay is bad.
I'm a Mormon. I'm a conservative Republican.
And if you're watching the show right now,
We don't do gay.
they're Mormon? Is that what he said?
Yeah.
Mormons aren't allowed to drink coffee even. He's not Mormon. He smoked meth. What?
Yeah, it sounds like a
Yeah, well,
doesn't say anything about not smoking meth.
yeah, but if you
Is that in the Mormon Bible?
if you look at the video, if you're watching right now, I mean, if you're listening right now on the air, go to YouTube, type in "Come and Talk It," find today's episode, and watch the video of this guy. Like this is the shooter's dad. and just look at him.
That's why
he looks deranged.
He looks like a drugged up. What's that actor's name?
Josh Brolin.
Josh Brolin. Yeah.
Yeah, and he's like fidgeting around and tweaking out, and his hands like all contrived in a weird way. I'm
Looks
just saying
like he's hiding his upper teeth because they're gone.
missing. I mean, the guy's out of his mind. But that's what I'm telling you, Michael. Like whenever we talk about stuff like this, you say that it's the family should have done something. This guy's not going to do anything to prevent his son from shooting up a club. He almost sounds happy. I'm not going to put words in the guy's mouth, but he almost sounds happy that his kid did it in a weird way. You know, he's like relieved, but he has no sympathy whatsoever for any of the victims.
No, he's just relieved he's not gay.
Yeah, but if you're that concerned, it sounds like he doesn't care. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that wasn't his mindset at all. Yeah, didn't.
So what's your solution then? Do you have a solution? Because I'm saying it's up to the whole community because it takes a village to raise a child, right? And a lot of these people, a lot of these kids that are shooting up these schools, they're on prescription drugs, and their parents are not the best anyways. Because if they were, they would have raised a better kid than one that would shoot up a club.
I think conservatives they're at a tipping point. You know, if you don't want people to take your guns away, then you need to let them abort these bad kids.
Dude,
abort them.
Yeah, but what if these crazy people didn't want to?
Conservatives got something to think about.
But what if these crazy people didn't want to have an abortion and they still had the kid? You know, they still have the autonomy to be able to have
If you don't want your guns
kid.
taken away, if you don't want them coming after our guns, let them have abortions.
But what if they didn't want to abort this kid? That's what I'm saying. That's not a solution either.
Yeah. What would you say is the solution?
I just asked you. I don't know.
He just told you.
Yeah, I just told you.
Mandatory abortions?
That's right.
We're taking left turns and right turns on this program today, ladies and gentlemen.
Let's go to New York City. New York City ghost gun builder arrested after sharing a photo of a 7-year-old son wielding firearms, according to what the prosecutor has to say. So a New York City man has been arrested. And Corey Davis, 41, is now facing multiple charges after a New York City police officer recovered 14 of the privately assembled weapons in 2 of his apartments, including a 10-inch semi-automatic pistol and two what they call assault weapon-style pistols, according to the Manhattan District Attorney's Office. The allegations make it evident that the manufacturing of these weapons, Davis put not only the public, but a child in serious peril, according to the DA's office.
Okay.
You got, real quick.
Why? How was he putting this child in peril?
Yeah.
How?
By having the guns in the first place.
Were they loaded? Like, I don't understand.
Did the kid have the gun in his hand in picture or what?
No, he just had him in the apartment.
That's insane.
Oh, well, I don't know about the picture though. I don't know. Yeah, but yeah. So they're saying, hey, you shouldn't have
images of his 7-year-old son wielding the firearm.
Yeah, holding the gun. Yeah. So I guess he shouldn't have had.
I wish we had more time to talk about this one.
And also, I do want to talk about Elon Musk. You know, Elon Musk said he sleeps with a gun. You know that, right, Gary?
Yeah, he sleeps with a picture of George Washington next to his bed as well.
And 2 pistols, 2 guns.
Yeah.
That's right. He's pro-gun. Man, that's something for Twitter.
Good stuff. I like that. That means maybe we'll get unshadow banned finally and be able to gain our audience back.
Well, that's only if he takes over Facebook.
No, I mean if we
or YouTube.
Actually, you know what's funny? Our following on Twitter went up by like 400 or 500 people when he bought it.
Really?
Yeah,
that's good.
So I think people started finding our clips and stuff again.
As always, more guns equals less crime. You go out there and you buy yourself a gun. You listen to Come and Talk It with Michael Cargill.
This is Brittany Glaze, and I get my global gun news from Michael Cargill on Come and Talk It.